Welcome to the Pink Sphere podcast. This is your 30 minutes of pink, your weekly space to pause, breathe, and tune into something that might just change the way you move through the world. And today we have Laura with us. She is one of our brand new coaches at the Pink Sphere. She is a clarity and alignment coach, and I have so many questions prepared for her. Hi, Laura. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited to begin. So I'll just ask my first question. Okay. So you often talk about alignment, not as some big dramatic revelation, but as something that happens in the quiet, everyday moments. What does living in alignment actually feel like when you're in it?
Well, this is a very good question, Nadine. When you feel in alignment with yourself, it feels steady. There's no drama. It's not loud.
Yeah.
It feels like relief. You know, this sense that something in you just clicked into the right place. So you're no longer pushing or performing. You're present, and then you move in with and not against yourself. And that, in a sense of this is right. This is me. Yeah, if you think of a day-to-day, this shows like making decisions with more clarity. You're not second guessing, for example, and you're not looking for that external approval. Even if it feels messy, you know, but there is that quiet confidence underneath that, you know, that sense that you're doing the right thing and you're moving with yourself. You're not moving against yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of feel it inside your core, you know. Yeah. And why do you think so many of us still struggle to trust what feels right, even when deep down we know? Why do we still struggle to find that?
Yeah. Well, in my experience, both personally and professionally, a lot of us have been taught to go with what looks right, not what feels right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this resonates. So we kind of, we kind of grow up learning to chase approval, achievement, or that next right step. And over time, we just disconnect a little bit with what really our own instincts is telling us. So honestly, I think most of us are just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
Sure. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And may I ask, what got you into working as a clarity and alignment coach? Because as coaches and consultants, as the coaches at the Pink Sphere, we're still human, you know, we help other ladies out there, but still we have our own struggles. What was the reason that got you to focus on alignment and clarity?
For me, it comes from my practical journey, my personal journey. I've been working in a corporate world for 12 years, and I loved so many aspects of my work, working in learning and development. And again, development, growing, there was coaching involved. It's always been in that. But, you know, at the end of the day, something was also feeling very off to me. And then life kept sending me these situations. I was actually made redundant 3 times in 6 years. And I kept going and never really, well, never not, that's not true. But initially I wasn't taking the time to stop, pause and think and reconnect and say, okay, what is it that I truly, really want? What is really what I enjoy doing? What is really me? And when I stopped and I started focusing on that, everything shifted. I became more intentional. I had more clarity, and I really reconnected what really comes from inside me, not from fear, but from calmness. And that changed the whole thing. And that was my journey. And I've seen that shift in me. So that's what I do now with my my clients. I support those journeys as well.
Yeah. And you're now at a happy place and you want to provide that to other ladies, right? It's not necessarily ladies, but to others, you know?
Absolutely.
And what got you interested in the Pink Sphere?
For me, the Pink Sphere is that community sense, because at the end of the day, we are not meant to do things by ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we think of the past and our ancestors, where we come from, we are a community. We used to raise our kids together, learn from each other, fruit up from each other, grow together. And for me, the Pink Sphere is this. It brings that network, that community of women, of ladies, experts on their own areas that we share and we grow together. And I think that's such a powerful thing to have. So I'm very grateful
Thank
to
you.
actually hold in the space.
Thank you. This answer makes me really happy. And I want to go back to the initial questions. It's more about comfort with laziness, confusing the line in between. I think a lot of people do confuse
Mm.
comfort with laziness, but there's such a difference between avoiding something and choosing peace. How can we start recognizing the difference?
Well, if you think of avoidance, with
Mm-hmm.
avoidance, that it feels tight. You
Yeah.
feel anxious. There is something unresolved. When you go
Mm-hmm.
from peace, it feels more grounded, even if uncomfortable. So don't take me wrong. Peace doesn't always feel easy and comfortable, but there is not that unresolved feeling. You might still feel emotions like sadness or disappointment, but underneath there is integrity, and that is
Mm-hmm.
important. One way to check in is ask yourself, am I acting from fear or do I come from care?
Yeah.
And then when you choose in peace, it feels more clean. It feels, even if it's hard, it just feels clean, more integral. Avoidance, on that hand, will keep you thinking,
Mm-hmm.
second guessing. You feel uneasy. And
Yeah.
when that is the feeling, that's often the sign that something still needs your attention. You need to pause and rethink and see where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we start doing what feels natural and calm, it can almost feel wrong. It feels wrong and like we're breaking an unspoken rule or something. Why do you think women in particular find it hard to relax into ease?
That's a very interesting question, Nadine. To be fair, I think a lot of us, especially women, have been taught that is something to feel guilty about. There is
Yeah.
this labeling around lazy or unproductive, right? So relax is just lazy. And many of
Hmm.
the women that I work with, they have been raised to accommodate or to
Yeah.
achieve or to put other, anticipate everyone else's needs before
Yeah.
theirs. And slowing down can feel very, very uncomfortable to them. And
That's right.
and I felt that myself. Like they often tell me something I relate to. Let's see what you think. But
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I get that.
yeah,
I get that.
yeah. Like when they try to rest or take a step back, they feel guilty
Hmm.
about it. And then they have these internal conversations of, am I being selfish? Should I be doing more? But then over time, what's interesting, and I think that's what we need to really grab us into, is that when you, with practice, you start to see that rest and ease is not failure.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
actually forms of self-respect,
Yeah.
self-love. And then when you come from that space, when you claim that space of acting from that self-love, what they often see, well, my clients or myself, I've seen that myself as well, is something very beautiful. And it's just that it's not just changes you. It helps you feel better, but it also
Yeah.
impacting people around you. And it will
Yeah,
have a positive
absolutely.
impact on them as well. So it's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And saying no isn't just about rejecting others, right? It's about
Absolutely.
saying yes to yourself. But how can women make peace with that without feeling selfish or guilty? Because it makes us feel guilty. Like we don't,
Mm,
I don't know, we don't have the luxury of saying no. And especially as mothers, when we have kids
mm.
because we've seen that from our mothers as well. I don't know how do you think we can make peace with that, make it easier for us?
Yeah, that's such an important thing. I think the first thing to do is just that mindset work.
Mm-hmm.
So mindset shift is not selfish. It's self-honoring. It's
Yeah.
self-love, and it's also accepting that guilt might still
Mm-hmm.
show up. That's okay. At the end of the day, guilt is gonna be there because it's an habit. It's an old habit. And although it's okay to accept that there can be guilt with that, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that the guilt can override your needs. It's totally
Yeah.
different. Something that really works well is scripting a little bit the way you're going to say
Mm-hmm.
no. So, first of all, always acknowledge and let the person know that you heard them.
Yeah.
That's important. Say no in a clear, nice way. Again, being assertive, not aggressive. And then suggest something else or set a boundary. For example, something practical. So, hey, thanks for thinking of me, but I can't right now. How about we check in next month?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something,
Instead of just saying simply no, but
yeah.
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, even you mentioned being moms. For example, thanks for asking me to help in the school event. I'm feeling pretty stretched right now, so I can't commit this time. Maybe I can help with something smaller next week.
Yeah.
Again, I am acknowledging you. I'm saying no. I'm setting up my boundary. And if there is an option of a suggestion, I'm going to put it out there as well.
It's usually hard for us to say no, but if we can come up with other ways, that's much easier, and we still feel comfortable. And it's not like we're rejecting them, we're giving them more options. Yeah, that's such a good way. And I want to know, because you work with clients who are constantly doing, deciding, fixing, I don't know, what do you notice shifts when they start slowing down and asking, does this feel like me? You know?
Well, when you make that shift, what really notice and what really happens is that it's just easier to make decisions. Literally, it's just easier to have that clarity in relationships. For example, there is more comfort. There is less fear, and I think with my clients, what they've noticed is that they've seen a lot of strength and power when they feel
Yeah.
how actually other people respect them by saying no, by explaining themselves, by putting themselves first. That self-respect is making also others respect them even better, and they even inspire people. So it's such a powerful shift because you just your relationships become more intentional, your decisions are more aligned, things just become easier. Even if it's a decision about career, you go from confusion to, again, now I know what I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. So it's just easy and
It
it's
is.
just more peaceful and more restful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember you once said alignment isn't about control, right? It's about listening.
Yeah,
Is that it? Am I remembering it correctly?
yeah,
What does that look like on a random Tuesday when life's messy and the to-do list is too long?
right. Pause can look like those little small decisions, those little day-to-day things. So how do you start your day? Do I start by rushing through my emails, or do I
Yeah.
actually take a breath and do some intention setting?
Yeah.
Or do I choose my conversations that I jump in, or I say yes to all of the conversations? Or do I actually more intentionally say, okay, I can be part of this or not?
Yeah.
If we think of, I've got one example from a client. She kept saying yes and yes to all family events, right? And it was just too much for her. She was definitely overwhelmed, and she realized that she was actually not showing up very, yeah, she was not being destructive, but she was her best self when she was with her
Yeah.
family. So she started setting up small boundaries, something small, quick wins. And what she did was just saying no to one gathering a month, just that. So at the beginning, she felt guilty. She felt discomfort. She didn't like it because she thought that she wasn't being the right daughter or the right sister. But she went for that. And then what she realized is that by doing this, then that made her show up fully on her
Yeah.
best to the
Yeah.
other gatherings, which family also appreciated at the end of the day because apparently she was managing herself very well. So just again, this small step, this small boundary had such a huge impact in herself, even if it felt uncomfortable at the beginning. But it was just, again, those small steps, those small things. Why am I doing this? And then things, again, are going to just unfold for you. Yeah, she actually chose to say no to one event a month. What happened is that she found herself showing up fully to the
Yeah.
other gatherings.
Yeah. Instead of pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she was fully there. She had good energy, the right state of mind. So the family actually was happy that she was actually not going to one event because she was actually being better in the other events, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and again, it's just one small thing that you do for yourself, but it's
Yeah.
going to have a powerful impact.
So sometimes the more comfortable we become in ourselves, the more uncomfortable others get around us, right? How can we stay centered in that, especially when people start reacting to our boundaries?
Well, firstly, I think we need to normalize discomfort.
Yeah.
That's part of the whole deal. And we cannot expect that everybody's going to love our boundaries. That's not going to happen in reality. And that doesn't mean that your boundary is wrong. So
Hmm.
it's two different things. I think it's always about being assertive and not aggressive when you communicate in the boundary. It means that it needs to be firm, it needs to be clear, while acknowledging the other person, of course. And again, something like, I get this might be frustrating, I still need to stick to what feels right to me. And again, their reaction, which might be the fact that they don't like it, that doesn't invalidate your needs. And
Hmm.
that's super, super important to always keep in your mind. As of course, as long as you're coming from a good place, from a healthy boundary, you're coming from respect, self-respect for yourself, respect for the other person. You stay calm. You reset your boundary
Hmm.
as many times as you need to. But again, that boundary doesn't mean that you shut in the door, and that's what we talked before. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a no as a full no. It can be like, I can take it on this today, but
Yeah.
can we check in for next
Yeah.
week? Can we try
Different versions. Yeah.
exactly, can we try something else? And I think that that flexibility as well is very important, because that
Hmm.
flexibility within those conversations, it's part of what makes boundaries something sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to talk more about feeling aligned, especially for women who are always overthinking. How can they tell when a decision is aligned versus when it's fear disguised as logic?
Okay. This is something that I've noticed a lot.
Yeah.
Fear comes as logic. So that's normally that's usually showing up like I should do this, or I should be doing more of that. That's when it's fear. Like, it
Hmm.
looks logical, but it comes from I should be doing this or that. When
Yeah.
it's alignment, it's gonna sound something more like I want to. It is a choice, it's not a rule.
Yeah.
When it's fear-based logic, for example, like you see a job posting that you like, and then your thoughts is like, what if I fail, or what if I regret leaving? Okay, no, I should just stay. I'd savor, right? So it sounds smart, but what is happening is that it's really keeping you stuck. You don't grow,
Hmm.
you don't progress. When it's coming from alignment, it's just scary, maybe, but it's just
Hmm.
clearer. It feels good. It feels better for
Yeah.
yourself. So let's say you've got a big project at work, right?
Hmm.
If it comes from fear, in disguised, of course, but is that fear in the background? Maybe you are like, okay, I need to stay late every night because I need to deliver the project, and if I don't do it, things are not gonna go right.
Yeah.
And that's your fear. When it comes from alignment, this sounds something more like, okay, I need to be fully focused during my working hours, and then I need to rest so I can deliver and I can show up my best and I don't burn out. One practical question that you could try just asking yourself is,
Hmm.
if fear was not in the room, what would I choose?
That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. And I love the idea of choosing what feels right rather than what looks right. I love that idea.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
And how does self acceptance connect to alignment? Because I feel like so many of us chase clarity, but deep down, we're trying to earn our own permission to be who we really are.
Hmm.
How does that connect to alignment? How does self acceptance connect?
I think they are inseparable, right?
Yeah.
Um, Alignment is gonna ask you, can I live in a way that reflects who I really am?
Mm-hmm.
And that requires self acceptance.
Yeah.
So for you to answer, can I live in a way that reflects who I really am? You need to be self accepting yourself. If you're constantly trying to be somebody you're not,
Mm-hmm.
you are always going to feel out of sync.
Yeah,
And then when you actually start accepting you, even the messy parts, because those are also part of you, and that's fantastic.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah, you stop performing. It's not a show. You're aligning. You're present. And then, yeah, when you're in alignment, things around you will also shift around you, and relationships are gonna get clearer. Decisions are gonna get easier. Life is gonna feel more grounded, and that is beautiful. And that is self acceptance. That is self respect. That is self
Hmm.
love.
Yeah. And I know we mentioned community and the pink sphere, the reason why you joined the pink sphere. But I want to ask you, as you know, the pink sphere is all about doing life in a way that feels human and calm and not performative. How do you see communities like the pink sphere help women stay connected to what's right for them, especially when the world keeps pulling them in different directions?
Yeah, that's very close to my heart actually, because it's sometimes exhausting how the world is asking so much of us, and we have to be strong. We have to have the
Yeah.
answers. We need to get everything together, and we never need help so
Hmm.
much. I think when you have the right people around you, it just makes everything easier. A good community, yeah, it's just that reminder, that reconnection of who you really are. um,
Yeah.
People that they won't guilt you when you say no. They will respect you for that. People
For
that they
being brave enough to share, that's a big thing. Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's important that we find the people that support our no's as much as
Hmm.
they support our yeses.
Yeah.
That's real support.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. And it's always good to know that you're not alone feeling what you're feeling. That's the best part. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And say if someone got a session with you through the pink sphere, booked a session with you, how would you start? What would your first question be?
You know, at the end of the day, as a first step for everybody, is just pausing and checking in and
Yeah.
notice what you notice. It's always going to be about that. Pause, take a breath, and notice what you notice. What do
Hmm.
I need right now? And
Hmm.
it's just not rushing into fix mode or
Hmm.
to solve the puzzle. Just
Yeah.
notice what you noticed. Just listen to yourself. What is it that you need? Is it rest? Is it water? Is it space to cry? You don't have to have the answers, but
Hmm.
it's about holding that moment to pause and to look into what's really going on and have
Hmm.
that space to explore and to notice what you notice. That's
Yeah.
so, so important.
It is. It is. And if someone listening right now to this episode feels out of alignment right now, and I don't know, saying yes when they want to say no, constantly tired, disconnected, what's one sentence that you'd want them to keep in their minds?
First of all, any listeners, if this resonates with you, you're not alone,
Hmm.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Start accepting that discomfort it's part of the journey, and that's okay. And with practice, discomfort will reduce and it will stay in the background.
Yeah.
But again, always pause and ask yourself, what do I really need right now? Where am I taking these decisions from? Is it from
Hmm.
fear? Is it from calm?
Hmm.
Pause, take a breath, and listen. Notice what you notice, and that's going to be powerful, powerful shift.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you for all your amazing answers. And it was lovely to record this episode with you. And that's it for today's 30 Minutes of Pink. And if this episode spoke to you, hit subscribe, leave a comment for Laura or for me, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.